Fellowship Event Minigame 2023 in Forge of Empires. The minigame shows a city where a banquet, in honor of returned heroes, is to be held in the marketplace on the left. This banquet requires spices, drinks, fruits, bread and meat, which are produced on the right side and then transported by a horse-drawn carriage to the left to the marketplace. There the banquet steward will serve them. Everything starts with the fact that you initially have only one production, the Spice Emporium. Clicking on this building will provide spices, and another click will take them to a small village square and start a new spice production. Then click on the coachman's building on the left side of the map and he will drive his horse-drawn carriage from the marketplace to the village square. On his way back, he takes all the goods he has produced so far with him. Once the carriage has returned to the marketplace, you can click on the banquet to have the spices served. In return, you will receive in-game currency which you can use to improve the production building, expand the coachman and enlarge the banquet. Through these actions, you can then accumulate more and more in-game currency faster and faster. With this, you can expand even further, collect even faster, and so on. In the end, you will be required to collect a gigantic amount of in-game currency. This seems completely impossible at the beginning, but then becomes an achievable goal by expanding all the buildings. Now, nobody wants to sit in front of the PC day and night and click that manually for 21 days. That's why you can hire an overseer for each production facility, the carriage and the banquet. But beware, this overseer costs gemstones and you should be very stingy with them. But you can't do without an overseer. So you hire an overseer for the Spice Emporium, the card company and the banquet. This automates the whole process and from now on the city will produce 24 hours a day, even if you are locked out. Above you can see 3 tasks. In total the city has 38 of these tasks. Almost the only goal of this city is to fulfill these tasks. Everything else is just a means to an end, because the entire city will disappear completely after reaching the goal and then a new city with slightly different tasks will start. In order for the gemstones to really last, a certain efficiency and a not inconsiderable amount of time is required. Therefore, the first tip of this video is always fulfill the tasks with the highest priority. Everything else is completely unimportant compared to this. Overseers can be promoted with gemstones. Then they work faster. The Spice Emporium produces more, the carriage transports more, the banquet serves more. But every promotion costs gemstones, and we want to spend as few of them as possible. That's why you should only make those promotions that are required by a task. Please always keep in mind that this city will work a few days only and then will start again from scratch. All purchase supervisors will be gone. The gemstones, of which we will get only 11,200, will have to last for a long time. So we come to the second tip of this video. Never promote an overseer unnecessarily. Once something is served at the banquet, we can invest the received in-game currency in the expansion of the production facilities. There are certain levels in this expansion. The upgrades within a level have little effect, and at higher upgrade levels they often cost more than can be achieved through them. However, completely finished expansion levels have a jumping effect. Coachman and banquet have such efficiency jumps when upgraded to levels 10, 25, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250 and 300. It is true that the production buildings also have many such efficiency jumps. But there it is really only important to know that the first jump occurs at level 25. Basically, you should never upgrade a production building beyond level 25 unless one of the tasks explicitly or indirectly requires it. More about this later. At this point, I just want to make it clear that upgrading beyond level 25 is less beneficial than building the next better production building instead and then upgrading that. From this explanation, we should take the following tips. Always complete production steps and upgrade production buildings up to level 25 only. This will really get you moving. If you produce more, you should also transport more, and finally, the banquet should also grow to the same extent. Do not simply expand wildly. If an imbalance should arise temporarily, it is not a problem. Instead, always orient yourself to the tasks at hand. In the end, the most important thing is to fulfill these tasks. The event currency expires at the end without consideration. I have therefore assigned the 38 tasks to the individual buildings. This helps to better estimate what you can use, where and when. On the top right, you can see the task of the Spice Emporium. It should be upgraded to level 25, a bit later to level 100, even later the Overseer should be promoted to level 3, and finally the building should be upgraded to level 200. If you progress quickly in the quest line and have enough gemstones very early, you can, of course, promote the Overseer to level 3 right away. It doesn't get cheaper by doing it later. When the corresponding quest comes then, it is immediately fulfilled if the prerequisite is given already. But be careful, it would be unfortunate if these gemstones are then missing elsewhere. This first run requires a total of 1000 gemstones to complete all tasks. You can reduce this considerably by skipping certain tasks and finishing the city earlier. Tip: work through the event quest series as quickly as possible in order to have enough gemstones at the beginning. In most events you can take it slow. Not in this event. If possible, start the first city on the first day of the event and take about an hour to do it. Running through a low-level Spice Emporium then is almost useless. You should take a first break when the coachment and the banquet are both at least at level 100. This takes about an hour with small interruptions. So the next tip is to plan an hour of playtime at the beginning of each city. It is even advantageous to do this on the first day in the morning. If you start in the evening, you lose valuable production time. That alone is not a disaster, but many such handicaps accumulated then lead to failure. While you should promote any required supervisors to the target level specified by the task at the first opportunity in order to use the advantage as early as possible and thus as long as possible, you should never do this with the production tasks. For example, the Spice Emporium should be upgraded to level 200 at some point due to appropriate tasks. However, we have learned above that this expansion costs more than it brings. Therefore, never upgrade production buildings beyond level 25 earlier than the tasks required. The reason for this is simple. There are tasks that require you to upgrade any building by a number of levels. If you then expand the spice shop as the cheapest building to fulfill this task, you fulfill 2 tasks at once. Tip: expand production buildings only when a quest requires it. As a further orientation, you should keep in mind that it makes sense to upgrade the coachman and the banquet to at least level 250 from the second city on. Of course, this can only be done step by step, whereby longer breaks in the game then accumulate stocks, which then allow many new expansion levels all at once. Now, it is helpful for further tips to make an individual decision beforehand. There are two fundamentally different approaches to this event. A. Complete 4 cities and buy all 6 boxes afterwards. B. Complete as many cities as possible and open the free box only. Variant A requires an hour of time per city at the beginning, plus some readjustment every 4 to 8 hours, which only takes a few minutes. In the end, it is guaranteed to get Summerhold Manor at level 9. Variant B requires a dramatic amount of time. 10 cities, each with a 1 hour starting phase, plus hourly readjusting. Better, even more often. This constant time commitment during the entire 3-week event duration is not something everyone can take on. On the other hand, this is the variant that allows you to get the Sun Heaven Palace without spending any money. Tip: decide early whether to buy boxes or play more cities instead. If you decide to buy the boxes, you can take 4 days for each city. This will put you in a good position. Most players tend to make the mistake of completing cities too early. Tip: 4 to 5 days per city is a good value. Another tip: do not progress too fast. When you see task 36 at the banquet, collect 16 quadrillion supplies. Then, at the beginning, this seems to be an almost unattainable big number. Simply do not let this irritate you. The next dimension is always 1000 times the previous dimension. You could complete the first city with only 1 million supplies. However, I do not recommend this. Before completing a city, you should at least complete as many tasks as possible, especially if they require no or only a few gemstones. I advise Serenity. Forge of Empires is in many ways a game of patience. Those who buy the boxes have time anyway, but also for everyone else, this tip is important. Complete as many tasks as possible before a city is locked. To save the so scarce gemstones, you can specifically skip tasks. For example, you can skip task 25 in the first and fourth banquet. This task requires the expansion of the carriage overseer to level 4. By skipping this task, you save an enormous 270 gemstones. You will still be able to complete the banquet, especially if you have upgraded the carriage overseer to level 300. As I said, if you plan to buy the boxes, you have time. On that note, you can also save 150 gemstones for the carriage overseer level 4 on task 35 of the second city and 150 gemstones for the banquet overseer on task 23 of the third city. Of course, you can skip other tasks, but this will always take more time. In return, you can treat yourself to the overseer of the spice shop for 10 gemstones in the second city, even though it is not required in any task. But without the overseer, it would be an annoying clicking. Tip: in every city there are tasks to save a lot of gemstones. If you click on completing a banquet, you get the chance to buy boxes. The first box is free. The second costs 50 gemstones, and then they get more and more expensive. These boxes together cost 1850 gemstones. If you buy all of them, you get a 25% discount. So by the time you finish the first city, you should definitely have a supply of 1,400 gemstones plus about 200 gemstones to start the second city. To do that, you have to be pretty spry with the quest line. It's not without its challenges. This event demands a lot from the players. The next tip applies to players who want to buy the boxes. Tip: only complete a banquet if you have a stock of more than 1,600 gemstones. Every bought box contains a small reward on the level we usually know from daily specials. Even if the offered rewards should not be really interesting for you, be sure to buy all 6 boxes. With every bought box, the price of the next box doubles, no matter in which order you open them. If you have bought all 6 boxes for a total of 1,400 gemstones, you will always get a Feast and Fables kit. In addition, one of the boxes always contains an upgrade kit for the event building. Buying all 6 boxes guarantees receiving the respective upgrade kit. Buying boxes individually is a gamble. It can be much cheaper if you're lucky, or significantly more expensive. Buying all boxes is simply the sure way to success. Opening boxes one by one until one contains the upgrade kit is something for players who love the thrill. After that, a new set appears. Now, even the first box already costs gemstones. The complete set then costs a whopping 2,800 gemstones, even with a discount. I advise against buying the second box set. Therefore, the next tip: do not open any box of the second box set. The second run then has slightly different tasks. This also requires a total of 1,000 gemstones. Otherwise, everything remains as before. Once again, plan an hour of time in front of the computer at the beginning of the city in order to quickly advance the slow startup of production through manual intervention. Now, we are already practiced and can work through this routinely. For box players, complete the second city only when you have at least 1,600 gemstones and buy another box set after the second city. Remember, the first box set after each run has the first box for free. The set therefore costs in total 1,400 gemstones using the discount. Again, do not buy the second box set. Players who have decided to play 10 cities instead of the boxes must stay on the ball. Starting with the second city, you can only finish it when 8.4Q have been collected. Every lost hour can hurt there. After that comes the third run, which requires 980 gemstones. The 38 tasks of each run are also in the first pinned comment below the video. The fourth city then has exactly the same tasks as the first city, only the city completion discount is no longer there. For box players, the goal is to complete 4 cities and take a few more tasks from a 5th city if necessary. Realistically, 175 tasks are achievable, but already 150 tasks would be enough. Of course, you can vary this and complete more cities, which will certainly be possible through saved gemstones. However, this will dramatically increase the time needed for this event. Here again, the most important tips at a glance. As shown in the first video, the really good event building justifies the time commitment. That should be incentive enough for all of us. And once you've got the hang of it after the initial confusion, the minigame is fun. Good luck!